Hello everyone. Now you're probably wondering why it was that it's been over 2 weeks since I last made a video. Where'd she go? Oh, she disappeared again. She didn't make a video for over 2 weeks. Must not be credible or valid anymore as a video maker. A video maker. But I've been hospitalized. Hospitalized because I was hearing voices again, and just one voice. It's one voice, but hearing voices is the expression people understand what you're talking about when you say hearing voices. But it was just one voice. Actually, I heard a couple other voices only once. Once in a great while I heard another voice. But I've been hearing this voice, and it's nonstop. It's a nonstop attack. Assault, 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 assault. And I was hospitalized. I went to the hospital and spent some time there trying to get my sanity back, trying to feel better. Even had some thoughts about hurting myself. You can't help it in a place like that because you wonder, how in the world do people hurt themselves in a hospital? Well, you'd be surprised how many different ways there are you can hurt yourself in a hospital. But yeah, I mean, anybody who really, really wants to can hurt themselves. No questions asked, they can hurt themselves if they really want to. There's really nothing preventing them from hurting themselves. They could even bang into the walls if they wanted to, just rush into a wall and bang, bang, bang off the walls. Bouncing off the walls, that will hurt you pretty quick. Was a terrible time. The voice was driving me nuts. It was driving me crazy. I would do anything for relief. They sent me home with a lower dose of the same medication that I was on before, and they did nothing about the voices. I was still hearing the voice when they let me out, and I'm still hearing the voice even now. I'm still hearing the voice. You're probably asking yourself at this point, how do we know you're hearing voices? What are you hearing? What is it you're hearing? Well, right now it's saying you're a very perverse monster. You're a very perverse monster. It says it doesn't say monster. It says monster, like that. It's something my father said. In fact, this voice, all of the things that I hear come from my father and are in my father's voice. Because my father said these things to me to terrorize me when I was just a child. I was from the age of 3 to the age of 5. It was programming my brain with all of these crazy things and giving me date rape drugs to erase my memory so I wouldn't be able to talk about it, wouldn't be able to tell people what he was doing to me. But despite the date rape drugs, the thoughts were still there. They still stuck in a part of my brain, and they came out when I turned 26. I started hearing the voices at age 26. Continued from there. Wasn't pretty. Wasn't a pretty sight to see. Now, I have refrained very carefully from telling you about what I was hearing. And the reason why I've refrained from telling you what I was hearing was because I don't want anyone using this on another child. And you know that there's wackos out there. You know there's wackos who would use that material that my father came up with out of his warped imagination, out of his warped head, to hurt another innocent child. And I don't want any innocent child to be hurt because of me or because of my father ever again. I would rather take it to my grave, and I'd rather have my memories die with me and be buried with me rather than have somebody use these words on an innocent child and program them for failure in life, program them to want to kill themselves, program them to self-destruct or to destroy their abuser, then self-destruct. But I'm willing to read to you a little bit. I'll just read you maybe just one page of what I'm hearing. I hope nobody uses this on a child. Please, please don't allow anyone to use this on a child. Please don't use this on a child. Please do not read this to a child. Okay. Just so you know that I'm not making this stuff up. You're a really perverse monster. It's the clothes that you wear. Now this one is a new one. It's a new one that I didn't make it up. It just came into my head all of a sudden. I didn't make it up. You have COVID. You're just a victim. That's a new one I just heard. It got creative. It was making new stuff up. That's exactly right. Don't tell anyone about that. Thank you, little mama. I'm already listening. What happens now? Extra credit. She's just a prostitute, little mama, said of all women. So whenever I see a woman, then I hear in my head she's just a prostitute. And then it's a tragic story. All women are prostitutes. We're really family. That's very nice, dear. You don't know how much protection you need. I'm proud to admit it. I'm making you suffer. Have a nice day. We've got you surrounded. I'm right across the street from here. Absolutely, I'm in love with you. You're driving me crazy. Excellent. Have a nervous breakdown. I'm in love with her. You're making me gentle. So that's all I'm going to read to you. There's more. There's a lot more. There's so much more. It's nonstop crazy. Nonstop craziness. Nonstop craziness from my father. Probably one of the most demented minds of the past century. And maybe even of this century. He is a very, very sick man. He's a very sick man. He's got a very warped, very demented mind. Oh. That is something I have to turn off. Okay. Very warped, very sick-minded person. And of course, I had to hear all of this stuff when I was too young to know any better. When you're 3 to 5 years old, your brain is a sponge. Brain is a sponge ready to absorb anything you hear, and it becomes etched indelibly in your brain permanently. Okay? And whatever drug he gave me got shoved back into my long-term memory. Not my short-term memory, but my long-term memory, and it was locked away. It's locked like a lock with a key. Programmed my brain just like a computer to hear this voice of his when I got older. And he had only one wish for me. He only had one wish for my life, and that was that I was insane. I would eventually self-destruct and kill myself. That was his only wish for me. His only wish for me, he said, commit suicide, little mama. Commit suicide. Moonbeam. His only wish for me was that I would kill myself. His only wish for me was that I would be driven nuts that I would live with schizophrenia, and that I would eventually kill myself. That was his wish for my life. Now, I'm pretty tough, but it is hard, even as an adult. Even as an adult, tolerating and putting up with the things he said then. They're so, so sick. So sick. So upsetting. So disgusting. Not saying it's a crybaby. I don't know where he gets that boo-hoo, it's a crybaby thing from it. It's like some schoolyard bully. He's like a schoolyard bully. He's like a little kid who's a schoolyard bully. Going like this, boo-hoo-hoo. Schoolyard bully. So I had to put up with this. Now you're wondering, how did this happen out of the blue? How did you start hearing these voices? Was there anything that triggered it? Yes, there was. My mom sent me 20 emails in one day all about COVID. 20 emails all in one day all about COVID. I ignored them. I ignored her emails. I didn't bother to read them, but I was horrified just seeing all of these emails about COVID. I was like, oh my gosh, she wrote me 20 times in one day all about COVID. Then she was talking about people being blown up in Afghanistan by text. So we text each other a lot, so I really couldn't tune that out, the stuff about the people being blown up in Afghanistan. And she was talking to me by text about pregnant mothers who died of COVID. One of them died, and the baby died with her when she died of COVID. And the baby in her womb, of course. And then there was another one that delivered and died a few days later of COVID, and the baby was left alone with its father. So she was telling me these stories and about people being blown up in Afghanistan. And then the icing on the cake, she said, oh yeah, Hurricane Ida is coming. Hurricane Ida will be the biggest hurricane ever. And I just blew up. I blew up. I was so mad at her. I was so mad at her that she was giving me this constant feed of negativity through texting, which is supposedly sacred, sacrosanct place where people can talk to each other, where people can communicate ideas with each other, where people can comfort and be caring of each other, where people can feel safe. Well, instead of feeling safe, she was upsetting me horribly with bad news that it was just too much for me to deal with. And the way she presented it was too much for me to deal with. It was presented in a totally negative light, just total pure negativity. She's so focused on negativity. She's so negative. I was like, okay, I've had enough of this, and I went on a rant. I told her she wasn't being careful with me or my life, and that she was to blame, and for me failing in school and not keeping up with my schoolwork, that she was feeding me constant negativity, and that I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with this constant stream of negativity coming from her. I didn't want to hear any more news from her at all. I was done hearing news from her. And so I had this rant where I said that she wasn't careful with my life. I stayed up until 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep a wink, brooding and having negative thoughts and negative energies. Negative thoughts and negative energies all night long, and blaming my mother, and so angry at her. The very next day, I started hearing the voices, or the voice rather. Started hearing the voice, and voice got really bad. And it got progressively louder and louder throughout the week until finally I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't even do schoolwork. The voice was too loud. I couldn't work, and I hit the panic button. My mom wouldn't allow me to call 911. She wouldn't allow it. She wouldn't allow me to call 911. So I had to go to the hospital and sit in the lobby for 6 hours and 10 minutes. Finally, I got admitted. I was there all day. I was there all day long. So I was there for 24 hours. And then I got transferred to a hospital bed at a bigger hospital. I was there for 7 days. For 7 days I was away from my schoolwork, from everything. Now I'm way behind. But I was away for 7 days straight. And the people there weren't bad people, except for my doctor, my psychiatrist that sent me home early, sent me home to die. That was the only bad person. But all the alarms, right? Couldn't tolerate that. Couldn't tolerate it. I'm so unhappy and I'm so upset that this happened. Of course my father's to blame. Of course he's to blame. But what good does it do me to brood about my father? Do you know the law protects him? The law protected him from the beginning until the very end. It's like the law is like one of those magical charms from Roman times. It had a little magical charm. It was a penis that you wore around your neck. And the penis that you wear around your neck, it's a charm. It's not a real penis. It's a charm in silver shaped like a penis. And what it is, what this charm is, a penis protector. It protects your penis from harm. Well, that's what the law is like. The law is like a magical charm. It's like a magical penis protector. And it protects penis from the very first day, day one, till the very end of the penis's life. The penis is protected at all times. You know what I'm talking about, right? Because the usual suspects, they're not always women, they're usually men. Like 90% of all crimes are committed by men, right? 90%. They make up 50% of the population, but they commit 90% of the crimes. So, and then women only commit 10% of the crimes. So men commit a whole lot of crimes. And the law is like a magical penis protector. And what kind of men does it protect especially much? What class of men does the law protect especially much? What class of men is the law designed to protect? Well, it's white men, of course. White males. White Christian Anglo-Saxon males are protected by the law. That's who the law is designed to protect. The law is designed to protect wasps, and usually men. And it's not designed to protect their children from harm. It's not designed to protect anyone from harm, except for the perps. The perps are protected. So, like, just to give you an example, family law judge was totally on my father's side and against my mother and against me. And he wanted to use me for bait to catch my father in the act, and he never did. My father got away with it. Even when I gave my testimony to protective services, that wasn't good enough. They didn't try for a prosecution. My mom never pursued it. And my father fled to another state, and that was his protection. They could have extradited him. They could have brought him back and put him on trial. They didn't bother. Because the law protected him. It was a magical penis protector. What else did the law do? Oh yeah, the law protects him even now. If I tell you my name, and I tell you his name, oh, now I'm guilty of libel. Oh, he's innocent. He's pure innocence, and he never did any of this stuff to you. You're making this up. You're lying about your father. You're lying about him. You're guilty of libel, and you're guilty of slander. So I can get criminally prosecuted and sued by him for a lot of money. I have no money, and he's got a rich house worth $2.4 million. He's worth a lot of money. I figured out he's got assets. Through my magic of the black web, I can figure out all sorts of things about him, right? Yeah, he thinks he can hide from me, but I got his number. And so, yeah, he's a sneaky bastard, and the law protects him from harm, from me. Protects him, not me. I don't get any protection. He gets all the protection. So what do we do about this? What do we do about libel laws and slander laws and laws, statute of limitations on child molestation? There shouldn't be any statute of limitation on child molestation. All these laws that protect these white males that abuse children. What do we do about it? What do we do about a sexist, racist system that protects white males over every other class of people? I really have no easy answers for you. The white men are still in charge, and they still keep getting elected again and again. So how can we change things as long as the white males are being elected? How can we change the state of affairs and the law as long as white males are being elected by the populace? Maybe really would be a good idea to bring in outsiders from outside of this country so there isn't a white male predominant majority anymore. White males would do anything to hold on to their power. Anything. They think they're so great, like the governor of Texas. He won't allow abortion. He won't allow abortion even in the case of incest or rape. And he says, well, you won't even need that anymore because I'm going to take all the rapists off the street. Yeah, what he doesn't note, what he fails to notice, or maybe he does notice because he's being disingenuous, is that somebody has to be raped first before a rapist can be taken off the street. And 75% of all rapists are first-time offenders, one-time offenders. So they're not necessarily going to rape again. You see, you'll be putting people off the street forever and ever and ever. Even if you could, which you can't. Can't always prove rape. Can't always get the rapist prosecuted. You can't. There's guys who just get away with it every single day. So, I think he's Governor Greg Abbott. Governor of Texas is disingenuous. He's not going to get every single rapist off the street. And oh yeah, in order to get those rapists off the street, a whole lot of women got to be raped. For Governor Greg Abbott to get those rapists off the street, a whole lot of women have to be raped first and bear their rapist's child before all those rapists can get off the street. And then there's a new crop, there's a new generation of rapists, right? Because they all take after their rapist fathers. Like, how do you explain why lions all commit rape and elephants don't? Well, because they're a different species. Well, maybe there's a genetic component to rape. Who knows? Must be. Must be a genetic component to it. One thing, one satisfaction that I have is that my father will never pass his genes on to a future generation. He will remain impotent for all eternity because his genes, his rapist genes, won't be passed down to another generation because I'm not having children because of him. He's ensured through his life and through his example that he will never ever have grandchildren or have any progeny in the future. Woman lawyer actually suggested having him that he would have a double vasectomy, so he can't have kids ever again. Double vasectomy for my father. Wouldn't that be great, a double vasectomy for my father? Then maybe he'd lose his sex urge. He'd stop going after children. He prefers children. He's a paedophiliac. And moved next to an elementary school so he could have easy access to children all the time. So that's it. That's why I was hospitalized. That's why I was away and didn't make a video for you. And I could say I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry at all because I sure as heck couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. And I thought a lot about my goddess while I was hospitalized. And I can't help blaming her in some way for all that I've suffered because she created everything. But what can I do? There's nothing I can do against a goddess that created everything. There's nothing I can do. I'm powerless against her. Can't change her. Can't change what happened to me. Can't change the way things are. And can't change the goddess. So if the goddess really wanted me to suffer so badly, and I know for a fact that I'm just not capable of doing what my father did. I'm just not capable of doing that to anyone, let alone a child. I'm just not capable. It's not in my nature to do that. So I know it wasn't my karma. I know it wasn't something I did in another life. I know I did not deserve it. I know for a fact that I was punished for nothing and I did not deserve it. What happened to me was pure evil. It was pure evil because I did not deserve it. So, because I didn't deserve it, now the voice is saying, oopsie, you're making an oopsie. So annoying. Now it's yelling, you've been exposed. I didn't deserve it, and Goddess let it happen anyway. But why? Why would she let it happen? If you have any ideas why a creator would allow something like this to happen to me when I didn't deserve it, leave your answer in the comment section. And I'll see you next time.